Before we begin, 3 messages. Here's a riddle. How do you build native cross-platform mobile applications quickly without having to rewrite code and hire consultants at a huge cost? Titanium from Appcelerator. Called the easy button for mobile application development, it allows you to focus more on what's important, getting product out the door. Join the more than 1.5 million active developers who have created over 13,000 apps at www.appcelerator.com. If you're a freelancer or running your own small business, the one thing you probably wish you could do quicker and easier is invoicing. That's where FreshBooks.com comes in. They take the pain out of invoicing and get you paid faster. Effortlessly create invoices and email them to your clients. They can view them, print them, and even pay you right away with PayPal or any of their 11 other payment gateways. FreshBooks.com can automate late payment reminders and help track your billable hours at the office or while on the go with their apps for iPhone, BlackBerry, and Android. I'm only one of over 2 million really satisfied customers, and you can be one as well, all for free. Just head to www.freshbooks.com and sign up. When you do, be sure to say you heard of them from untether.tv, and one of you, my loyal viewers, will win a birthday cake each and every week. Doesn't even have to be your birthday. Get started today for free at www.freshbooks.com. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello everybody, welcome to untether.tv. This is the place where you come for the interviews with the mobile rock stars. And I've got another one all the way from Los Angeles, California. I've got, see, this is the true test. It's Arik Waldman. Hey?
Yes.
Arik.
Yeah.
Now that I've got that, it's done. I said that I would mess his name up about 47 times, and I haven't done it once yet, and we're a minute in. This is great. Arik is the founder and CEO of a company called TekTrak, and I'm just going to kind of give you a light version of what this is that we've all been there when we're carrying these coveted devices. We love these devices, whether it's an MP3 player or it's an iPhone or an Android device or something. We love them, and oftentimes I heard this great statistic where a good majority of us would go home first for the phone if we left it there, and then for the wallet, right? It's almost like if you left for the office in the morning and you forgot your wallet or your phone, most of us would go back for the phone, not the wallet. So it is painful when you lose something like this. But what if you could have a little piece of software that ran on the device that actually allowed you to locate it, allowed you to do some neat stuff with it, like ping, like call it, like do all these things. And that's what ultimately, that's what TekTrak does. And that's why this is an interesting one, because it's such a, it's a personal thing. You never want to lose anything. And oftentimes if you leave it on a bus or you leave it on a cab, it's gone for life. Not anymore. How did I do? Is that a good summary of what you guys are doing?
That's a great summary.
Well, then we should stop now. We're on a roll. I got your name right, and I've summarized your business. Why don't you give us a little bit more detail about it?
Okay. So TekTrak is a mobile security company. We help users find their phones if they get lost or misplaced, and secure any private or sensitive information that is stored in the device. Obviously, we use our smartphones for a lot of things. Some of them are personal, some of them are business, and we want to protect the data that's there and not only find them. And with TekTrak, you can do just that. We currently have an iPhone application and on the App Store. And our Android app is about to come out too. And you can do a lot of stuff, locate the phone, see your phone's last known location. If the battery runs out, you can remotely ring the phone on Android. Even if it's on silent, it will ring, lock the phone, wipe the data, make it more accurate to locate by enabling the Wi-Fi, location history, and a lot of features. I'm sure this interview won't be long enough to to go through them, but it's I think we're providing a valuable service to solve real pain, not only for people who, who use their phones, but also for families who can protect their loved ones because they know where the phone is.
Oh, that's right. Could that phone be still attached to their child?
Well, if their child has the phone, it could be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because we've seen some solutions that are around there that ultimately they're like children's phones where they've got some kind of built-in GPS capabilities so that you can track where your kids are. So if they say, hey, they're at Bill's house and they're actually at Jane's party, you can race there and embarrass the hell out of them, right?
Well, if you're that kind of parent, yes.
I'm going to be.
We have a unique solution. Our application always runs in the background, so the kid doesn't have to do anything. If they love the parents, because only only you have access to your location. So if the parents can access, that they can tell where the kid is, and I think it's less of what party you're at, and more like what happens if there is an emergency and you can't contact your kid. Where is he?
Yep.
So that.
Oh, I know. I have that to look forward to. But there's always a little bit of that apprehension, let's talk about this. Why get into this business? Because companies like Apple have a solution called Mobile Me, which is there's all these rumors about it coming out for free, and they've discounted the price, and but they have Mobile Me, and there's a number of other companies. But why decide to move into this space when there already are a few companies in there? It's obviously a big enough world that not everybody's subscribed. Sometimes, but go back to the very beginning. What was the reason for doing this?
Well, first of all, I'll comment on Apple. Apple actually does have a service called Find My iPhone, which is free for iPhone 4 owners. iPhone 3GS owners still have to pay $99 a year to get the full Mobile Me package. It only offers a partial solution. I believe we offer a more comprehensive solution. Oh. And when we started, there weren't other players in the space. And obviously the space does have players now, because it is, a pain that we're really feeling. And the smartphone market is huge. And it's growing. In 3 years, you're going to have 2 billion smartphones out there. And most people are still unaware of these, services and mobile security. And as we use smartphones more and more for, more and more things, it becomes even bigger of a pain. And I experienced it personally. They actually came to me when I was in school. I was a student, and I went with my wife to Vegas. And we just lost our camera on the street. So it's not only the device, but all the precious memories we had, on it. So on the way back to LA, I was thinking how cool it would be if we could track our electronic devices. And from there, it evolved to tracking smartphones. And here we are.
So how long ago was that? That was a couple of years ago?
Well, yeah, it was a little over 2 years ago is when we lost the camera.
Yeah.
We've been, playing with the idea a little bit. We won the entrepreneurship award at school, and we started working on the company. My co-founder and I throughout our second year in school, and since graduation, which was last June, we've been working on it full time.
I think that, in fact, your camera wasn't lost. It's just the old rule that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, including all pictures.
Yes, including the camera, right.
Exactly. You just weren't abiding by the rule. It was the Vegas police, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's a good thing that it happened, because it inspires an idea, and a couple of years later you are running this, and so this is a big problem. And as you said, I think that what's moved this industry forward very quickly is the fact that smartphones and their mini computers, and as you said, we're adopting these for much more than just phone calls. In fact, way more than just phone calls. And these devices are starting to cost a lot of money. Even subsidized devices are a couple $100. Whereas maybe the old feature phones were almost like throwaway technology. The chocolate bar phones, they weren't feature rich and they weren't expensive. So did it really matter? You weren't doing much with it, right? Is right. What's moved it forward a bit?
Yeah, it moves a lot. I mean, other than your contacts, what else would you lose if you lost a feature phone, right? Yeah. And you could still get it the phone subsidized and paid next to nothing, even if you already lost one.
Yep.
Today, it's much more than that. You know, emails, obviously 3G, and so brought a lot of things. Emails, not only contacts, photos, because there's definitely consolidation of devices, social networks, online banking, you know, and we can go on and on. Everything I have on my laptop, I can access on my phone through Dropbox, for example. So with cloud computing and the ubiquity of internet access through 3G makes these devices, you know, very, very valuable to us.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, I have a GPS on this, Navigon GPS on my iPhone, and I've got this, I'm like every average human, I've got this home button. And of course, like every average human of low intelligence, I've programmed my actual address into there. So not only do that, somebody can just hit the home button and come to my house, find my house. Not that, I mean.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about this for a little bit. So you launched a year ago. You started the company, you incorporated a year ago, and then you launched the product how long ago?
About 4 months ago.
Okay. And what's the response been? Obviously, this is something that people are looking for, or they don't know that they're looking for until they come across it. Is that what you found?
Yes, the market is still largely uneducated. This is, I think the biggest challenge that mobile security companies have is educate the market about it. Everybody we talk to is like, wow, that's a great idea. I need this. So you only know you need this after either after you lose your phone or your friend loses their phone. They're like, oh, I wish, I had something on it. And sometimes people just go and look for it, on Google, and then they find us, or they're not aware there's something like this. So the response we got was amazing. We help people, not only locate their phones, but, I can't go too much into details about it right now, but really be a sort of without saying too much, I can say it really helped people locate their kids in emergency situations. Yeah. And because of privacy, I can't go too much into details, but we're doing something that's really valuable.
It's pretty amazing. It's like the when people the day after your hard drive crashes, you say, oh, why didn't I back it up, right? And
right.
It's the same thing when it comes to this, and you can see all the uses that come to mind, and I think that I'll let the people who are listening or watching to this come to their own conclusions about what those uses are. But obviously, when you add something like this to a device, there are multiple ways that you can use it, and all for good. So around the security, and you can see that once you build a platform, this is something that could proliferate, and you could do a whole lot of things. And things that you haven't even thought about right now, to be able to apply to this. So this is a for sale product, and
right.
You have a free version that is 2 free uses. So explain how this works.
Right. Okay. So the thing is, with applications, you have a lot of supply of applications, and obviously a freemium model has proven to be the most successful in terms of generating revenues, because a lot of times you download apps and they're, crap.
Yeah. Yep.
And people are reluctant to pay for apps unless they got great reviews or they tried them themselves first. So we went the freemium way, but we decided, we've done a lot of research, and we found out there are a lot of people who are sort of still reluctant to pay for apps. So the way we incorporated it, is sort of a freemium model with a twist. So you get 2 free uses. Each use is a login session to our website, because you interact with the app through the website, obviously, because you need to be able to interact with the phone when it's lost. And within each login session, each use is basically you can use all the features that we have within that login session. That is considered 1 use. Now, so you can try it for 1 use, and then you can save another use for if and when you lose your phone. But you can get more uses either by upgrading to our Pro version or sharing it with your friends. And for every friend that downloads the application, you get another free use. So essentially, you can just post it on your Facebook wall, get 10 friends to download it, and you get 10 free uses. And that way, basically, we keep everybody happy. The people who are willing to pay for this, and $5 a year is not a big price to pay, but I guess some people do feel it's a big price, and they can have the app too. Just share it with your friends.
How did you? So you've got the freemium version, and then how did you? Which I think is great. I mean, that viral aspect of it is really what you want to do. I mean, if you're marketing on a budget, you've really got to find innovative ways to get it out to a whole group of friends, and certainly your trusted circle is a great way to do this. And I want to come back to that. But you mentioned your TekTrak Pro, which was $5 a year. So
right.
Explain the pricing. Like, how did you come up with $5 a year? It's like, what is the lowest amount that we could charge, or what's the average app cost in iTunes? Or I mean, what was the thinking behind $5?
Well, we do provide a premium service. I mean, our app is without being too salesman-y, our app is really, really top quality, and there are a lot of costs associated with it. Yeah. But we also done a lot of research. We did, as I was an MBA student, in grad school, and part of what you do is do a lot of statistical analysis, sure. Which is exactly what we did, and we found out, what's people real willingness to pay for for a service like this, given our business model, given competition, given what people are used to pay for apps, because obviously the app marketplace is all about micro payments, and not something like this for your computer. You would not pay less than $30 a year. Right. But we're used to pay less for apps, and this is what really people were willing to pay for this. This is how people were really valuing our service.
So you just kind of so $5 was what you. I mean, there's an ongoing cost because it's involved in your servers, and to me, it's an invaluable service that when or if, ultimately, I don't know if I care if I get the device back, but ultimately I do care that I've secured my information. So how much is that worth to you, right? And $5 doesn't seem like very much, but I guess if you get a mass scale, $5 recurring every year is I mean how many like that's, if you got millions of people out of a billion person industry, you'd be okay with that.
Yeah, obviously we hope for a lot of millions. But yes, that's what micropayments are about, and you have to also consider that developing apps is not as expensive as developing full-fledged enterprise software hardware combination. Yep. is, and we see how that affects even the fundraising market with super angels and VCs who have a lot of early stage funds right now. So everything plays into that.
Okay, so let me ask you about the freemium piece. Is that has there been a lot of take up on that? Are you happy with the way that goes? Is that people are downloading the software and then sharing with their friends? Are they actually doing that?
Yes. We actually got on both sides. We have a very high conversion rate, which makes us feel good because it means people actually think it's a high quality product, and we get that in our reviews too. And we also see people sharing it with their friends. We were a bit surprised, when we give them the ability to share it within, using different platforms. And what we found out is most people actually share via Facebook. Second, I think, is Twitter, and very few people share via email. Which was a bit surprising, but it's what people want. But people do share, and we're very happy with that.
That's great. And is that predominantly what you're doing? I mean, we talked a little bit before we started recording, but you said that you haven't begun your marketing campaign per se yet, your awareness making campaign. So this is just, you've been testing a lot on kind of viral campaigns and social media, that kind of stuff?
Right. Yeah, we're about to launch our marketing campaigns now. We're focused on getting the product to the market. What we found out is, even when it's viral, you need to have some sort of user base that will really give you a viral lift of over 100%, which we sometimes get, but it's still on it's not millions of users sharing with millions of users yet. Yeah. So you do need to acquire customers, and we've done obviously our research on what works best. So ad networks can give you a really nice CPA, cost per acquisition, low cost per acquisitions. Facebook ads to some extent when you want to really target certain markets, and like with anything, basically online marketing, the long tail works. Less obviously, less in the US, more in other countries, but that's the beauty of it. We live in a world that you can really slice and dice who you're targeting.
So are you I mean, you're targeting North American users because it's iPhone only right now, obviously, predominantly, but you're seeing traction in other countries?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we're only targeting North America. We're targeting basically all the world because our app works everywhere.
Yeah.
We're based on hardware components on the phone that work globally.
Yeah.
Cell triangulation, GPS, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have seen traction in foreign countries, some more than others, obviously. And with the launch of our Android app really soon, we're hoping to see even more of that.
So I want to dive into something here. Is that we touched on it a little bit. Is that this is an awareness making challenge, right? So are you finding it? Let me ask, how is it that you are finding traction in an industry where you have to create awareness first and then sell people on it? Most people, the average person who's carrying one of these, who's new in the last year, doesn't really understand, just like virus software or the equivalent, they don't know yet that they should have something like TekTrak on it. So you say that you talk to people and they say, yeah, that's a good idea, but how is it that you're running those at the same time, where you're creating awareness and you're trying to build an industry at the same time as you're trying to sell them on something that it is valuable and that they need, but ultimately they don't need. They know they need it now.
Well, that's the thing. Once we do talk, I don't think they're really like separate from each other. They're one and the same. Because let's face it, the idea is not very complicated.
No.
Right? I mean, you have stuff on your phone. What would you do if your phone gets lost? I mean, most people are sold just by asking this question: what would you do if your smartphone got lost?
Yep.
I think in general, I think a lot of tech startups are facing the same dilemma, that they sort of need to cross the chasm between, the tech blogs and all the people in Silicon Valley that everybody has, all the smartphones, and everybody knows everybody, the VCs and the tech bloggers and everybody. How do you get to the general public? How do you cross that chasm and get to everybody? So the way to do it, I think, is to try and reach out to more of traditional media, and you can do that by sharing real life stories of how you actually helped people, and the other part is actually doing some offline campaigns and guerrilla marketing that can really get people engaged. And this is, the challenging part. How do you really do that? Because let's face it, our app is not content-based. We're not a game. People wouldn't be usually engaged. But at the same time, I think we have some real aces up our sleeves.
Well, and I guess that's the challenge, is that this isn't an app that you want to use all the time. You just want it to be there for the only time you really need it, which is when something happens to your smartphone.
Right. Well, if it's lost, I mean, some of the features that we offer and that we will offer in the next few months are really valuable to parents and businesses. But I'm assuming for most of the public, it will be when your phone is actually lost. So you need to be absolutely sure that whenever you need to find your phone, it will be there. You need to know that the app will always work, and that's and that of course involves some sort of technical challenge. How do you make sure the app always works in the background? If something happens, how do you make sure the user knows about it? And how do you preserve battery life, which we think we have a very unique and good solution for that. So we're aware of who we are, so we don't spam our users, right? We don't send them emails all the time. We don't, send them text messages or anything like that. We just want to make sure they know we're a quality service and they will get what they need when they need it.
It's funny. Yeah. I mean, I think sending me a text message, once a month saying, like just automatically generating it from the application saying, oh, it's okay, we're still here, we're still running, don't worry. It's easy, peace of mind. At the very beginning when you install something like this, that your phone is protected. And you can think of a lot of services that you can add on to this, like, because I'm just looking through this, is that you can do a lot of the tasks like location tracking, and you can remote unlock and lock it. You can wipe it. You can send them a text, I guess, if the phone is stolen. You can send them nasty messages incessantly. You can make it ring all night, all day.
Yeah.
But it would be great if you could then reach out and then just back up all your photos, like just do like a one-button backup and extract and then kill kind of thing. People are hesitant to wipe just simply because all of their information is on there.
Right. So I think with the iPhone it's in a way it's less of a problem just because people back up with iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree, it is something, and we will offer it in the future to really give the complete solution. You can remotely back up everything you need and then remotely wipe it, so everything you have is safe.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. It's one of the things we're planning on doing.
So talk about revenue for a little bit. So you're 4 months into this roughly, and you're generating revenues. You've obviously thought about it because you've got a revenue model, which is good. I think companies who sometimes who aren't thinking about revenue right now kind of come to a crossroads where they have to start thinking about it, and setting the expectation early on is very important. Do you find is that what your method from an MBA student? You're thinking about numbers and you're thinking about how to turn this into revenue pretty quickly, aren't you?
Yes, but I don't think it's not always the critical thing. You need to think about what type of service or product you're providing, and also adjust to the market. So this is definitely the most immediate revenue stream. But I think as we scale up, we can generate a few other revenues. Now we're not like a game, for example, like Angry Birds that can put banners on it, because I think privacy is what users care about. So we won't do that. But there are other things we can do when we scale up. We can license parts of the code, which we generate additional, because like you said, there are a lot of applications to our service, and there are a lot of things we can do. It's always a delicate balance between getting the users and penetrating the market versus getting the revenue.
Yeah, you don't want to put ads up there. I can't imagine, you're trying to use it and you got to sit through a 30-second Ford ad, right?
Right, that would be. I would be pissed if I'm really stressed, to find my phone and I have to. It is. I am a captive audience, but still.
Exactly. I'm thinking, but maybe on the other end. So if your phone gets stolen, you just push ads, incessant ads to the person who's got your phone. That's all they have to. Even to use it for a moment, it's like, well, you got to sit through this 30-second ad, right? Captive.
To use the phone, right? Well, there are still technical challenges in doing something like this, but you can just lock the phone, and then that's it. They can't access your information.
What's interesting though is that when we talk about things like the potential for revenue, you're right. It stems from the number of users that you end up having, and that's the interesting thing about mobile is that. The freemium is no different than the old shareware on desktops used to be, right? Where you had limited use or limited levels, and if you wanted the whole thing, you could go and buy the game or buy the application, or you had to sit through the nag screen, which was always good. I love the WinZip. It's like you've used WinZip for 4,722 days. Would you like to buy it? Like, no, I'm good. Mobile is along those lines. So when you go out here, we were talking before. You got a new family. You got a wife and a child, and you got a house probably, and you got maybe some employees that are working for you guys. And so how are you funding this right now? Is it? Well,
we raised some money from from some prominent angels and early stage funds, and this is really the way to do it until we break even.
Yeah.
Not different than most startups. We try to bootstrap as much as we can, but this is also why we, we're thinking about revenue, because at the end of the day, we are a company. Whether we get sold, in 2 months or in 5 years, or we'll just remain, operating privately. You need to think. I mean, personally, that's my belief. That you need to think like you're running a business. You can't count on constantly raising money and at the same time diluting your equity,
Yes.
and you can't build on being bought out by a company. And we're here to provide a service and build a business out of it. So. For the time being, yes, we're raising equity capital. We raised equity capital, and and need be, we'll raise some more.
So I saw you guys listed on Kima Ventures website, I guess,
Right.
which is kind of like a crowdsourcing startup venture fund or angel fund, right?
No, Kima Ventures is an early stage fund owned by two people.
Yeah.
Jeremy Berby, who's a French Israeli entrepreneur, and Xavier Nil, who's a French billionaire. He's like a media mogul there.
Yeah.
And they have a very interesting concept. They decided they were going to invest in one startup a week. And since then, sort of increased it to 2 and 3 startups a week. So they really, invest across a lot of industries and a lot of startups early stage. So we were one of their first investments, I believe, and and it has its advantages. You can obviously scale up as an investor. You can help your startups. If you have a lot of startups, you can get other services and scale up what you offer them and save them money and time that way.
So it's been a good experience with them?
Yeah, I mean, all of our investors have been. We got lucky, I guess. We really had good investors. Some of them really add a lot of value, be it with advice or partnerships or just introductions. So I'm really happy with them.
And last question on the investment side: was it difficult to find investment? Did you struggle looking for it, or are we in a climate right now when it comes to certainly in the mobile space and probably in mobile security that there are a number of investors out there looking, and it's a little bit easier to find that money, small amounts, I'd say.
Well, it's depending on a lot of things. Part of it is timing. The other is geography. So when we first started working on the company and sort of were starting to approach people are like, what? A mobile app is not a company. You can't make money off of mobile apps.
Yeah.
Mobile market is nothing. Smartphones are, you can, I don't know, make fart sounds, whatever. Exactly. But this is what I guess every entrepreneur faces, right? I mean, if everybody knew this was the thing, everybody would be doing it.
Yep.
So initially it was harder than, the beginning was harder than later. And also, there's the location issue. It's much easier to raise money if you're in the Bay Area than if you are in LA. Yeah. Although that is changing, and suddenly there is sort of a scene of startups and some investors in LA. So I think in the beginning we struggled. Now it's easier, and there are also a lot of things that sort of level the playground. Services like AngelList, that's been really helpful. Yeah. And this is actually how we got introduced to Kima Ventures.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So AngelList is an amazing thing. It basically means everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of angels and funds have access to entrepreneurs and vice versa, to deal flows and everything. So you can get the right investor to the right person. And now there are a lot of other things that help entrepreneurs that didn't exist before. Like you have Open Angel Forum that this is how we met our lead investor. And there are a lot of services right now. There are incubators, there's AngelList, there's Open Angel Forum, and I think there's really like a wave of startups that we didn't see years ago because of that.
Open Angel Forum, that's Jason Calacanis's thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I love that model where you know you don't charge the presenting companies or the you know the startups, you know, like demo. I mean, I presented at demo for one of my companies, and you know they the asking price was 20 grand for a 6-minute presentation, which is insane.
Of course, and nobody guarantees that you're going to get, you know, funded. And as an entrepreneur, that's the last thing you can do is, you know, is spend $20,000 in 6 minutes. I mean, I can think of so many things. I mean, obviously, this is Open Angel Forum is more of, you know, angels knowing angels, and obviously there are amazing angels there.
Yep.
You know, so they don't carry that for free because they want to get the deal. They want to find out about the new and exciting companies. I understand that some bigger conferences, you know, like Demo or others, need to fund themselves somehow, but there's always a better way of doing it, like percentages of a round if it's through that conference or whatever. I personally really don't like it when people ask me for money to pitch.
That's good.
You know, so it's obviously AngelList and Open Angel Forum in that sense are really amazing things for entrepreneurs, and obviously investors benefit from that as well.
Yeah, well, I like, you know, I think that what Jason is doing is great, and I think that it's catching on across the United States. I'm up in Canada, and we don't quite have that yet, but, you know.
It's beyond the United States, too. I think he had one in London and one in Tel Aviv. It's expanding.
I think it's great, and it's good to know that it's actually producing some value, as I knew it would. I think anything that Jason touches creates value anyways, for the most part. So, you know, back to this is, when you've gone through this process and you've started up a company and you've got some investment and, you know, you've gone through that process, you're building the product out, you're trying to create awareness for the product, you know, what are the, I don't want to say challenges, but, you know, as you're shaping the business model, is it hard for you guys to stay focused? Is it hard for you guys to, you know, iterate fast enough as the technology comes through? Is it what are the challenges that you guys are facing these days?
Well, you know, I always wish things would move faster.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're never on market as early as you want to be, and you know, we're also working on getting deals with companies that can obviously use us, and the problem is when
like
you're
enterprise,
startup,
like wide scale deployment kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, be it OEMs or carriers, et cetera. And although I can't announce it publicly yet that they're having some success there, we did have some success there. But the thing is, for the most part, big companies move slower. You know, large corporations. That's what they do. So that's frustrating.
So let me ask you about this: is that you know, around those bigger deals, is that like big companies move slowly, obviously, because they have to be secure and they have to make sure that everything operates fine. And
right.
And but carriers and big companies are two different things, because carriers move even slower, don't they? Or has it been? Oh. Have you found a good balance between, you know?
Well, not only from personal experience, we also talk to a lot of people, both, you know, entrepreneurs and former entrepreneurs and investors and all that, and they all complain about how slowly carriers move. I think it's starting to change. It'll have to change if they want to adjust, because technology is changing so rapidly, and people are adopting technology, you know, faster. So they'll have to adapt. So yeah, it's obviously frustrating, but you know, what can you do? They're the big players. We're the small ones.
It seems like a no-brainer here, where a carrier like AT&T or T-Mobile or any of the carriers anywhere around the world could just add this to the bill for $5 a year or $10 a year and give you your cut. So, you know, getting into a carrier seems very lucrative because of the scale and the volume, obviously, which is a good choice. What about companies, though, like large companies? You know, we've seen some, maybe not in the iPhone, but getting there in the iPhone, massive enterprise deployments, right, where the device isn't owned by the... how do you do this? Maybe the device is owned by the end user, the employee, but the data on it most of the time is the company's, right?
Right. So, well, you do have, it depends on which countries, right? Because we talked, obviously, several companies in several countries. Yep. So it depends on the law, you know. Well, you know, it differs from country to country, and depends on the IT policies of the enterprise itself.
Hmm.
Now, the enterprise market is completely different. The security level is much higher, and demands may vary, so you customize it. And you'd be surprised, but there's actually more competition in the enterprise space than you would have with the end user. So you have to compete with much larger companies when you work on the enterprise market. So
absolutely. I mean, for me, my background, the last company that I ran was an enterprise software company. So understand slow sales cycles or long sales cycle and slow decision making, and making it through those hurdles in order to be able to sell into an organization. And whereas I look at the small business, like the SMBs and the SOHOs, those guys, they're driving the economy right now, and oftentimes they don't have the ability to afford a service like this because it is wrapped up in an enterprise application that costs a lot of money for deployment. So $5 a year seems like this is beautiful. This is the sweet spot for SOHOs and SMBs.
Right, it's a no-brainer, and I just read an article actually saying that over 66% of small business owners in the U.S. actually use smartphones as part of their business. Yeah. Which, as an entrepreneur, I can understand. I mean, whatever the time is, 4 a.m., I always check my email. So
it's because you're you're feeding your son. That's why.
Right. But after he goes to sleep, in the intervals he's sleeping. That's what you do when you own a business. So smartphones are even more valuable to business owners, and this is definitely a market that we think we can bring a lot of value to.
Well, let me add, last question here about this is that are you a first-time entrepreneur? Is this your first enterprise?
Yes, I worked with a lot of startups in the past, but not as an entrepreneur. So this is my first venture. It's not my co-founder's first venture. He had a bunch of companies before, but mine, yes.
First mobile venture like this, though?
Yes, first mobile venture.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And so when you went into it, you must have had some expectations. And when you go into a business like this, and your first enterprise, and the idea resonates with everybody that you talk to. What's different today than when you launched the business or when you incorporated a year ago? Is it you still have that same energy? And is it are you meeting your own expectations?
I would never meet my own expectations.
See, you're an entrepreneur when you say that. That's good answer.
I would never meet my expectations. But the energy level and commitment has not gone down. When you actually do get funded and you do launch on the market, I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? But you're deeper in, and it's escalation of commitment in a way, but it's definitely the energy level is higher, and you're more committed than I can't. It's not like a personal relationship. It's different. It's like in a way, it's like having your own child. Yep. And if my wife is watching that, nothing
compares
to our son. But in a way, it is like having your own baby, and I do kid around with my co-founder that we're the parents of TekTrak. So I sort of had 2 babies in the last few months. So it is, and it's an emotional roller coaster. And I think the day it stops being an emotional roller coaster, and the day the energy level goes down, it might mean, that either I'm doing something wrong, or that I'm not doing justice to the business and the customers and the employees and the investors.
I can agree with that. I think that's probably a good place to stop. This is a service that I think that more people should know about. I think it's obviously a service that you never want to have that moment where you're feeling for your phone and you realize that it's gone, and then say, "Oh, I should have spent the $5," right? Because then it's irrecoverable. Exactly. You cannot get that back. So, for everybody who's watching or listening to this, is that and carries a smartphone, which I know most of you do or all of you do. This is a service that is something that you should probably have. You have insurance, right? And instead of going to Best Buy or any of the future shops or any of these things that actually sell you the the 3-year insurance for $100, just go spend $5 a year and to protect your data. I think that it's a valuable service. So I want to thank you so much, Arik, for coming on and sharing your story. Where can people find more information about you guys?
Well, you can go to our website, www.tektrak.com. You can go to the App Store and read about us, and pretty soon to the Android app stores
Yes.
and read about us there too. So it's we have a lot of information about what we offer. Frequently asked questions section is pretty comprehensive. So
all right,
we're always here to help.
So TekTrak, that's TekTrak.com.
Exactly.
And go and you can download an evaluation version on iTunes, and soon on the Android Marketplace, and probably the Amazon Marketplace, and every other Android, anywhere else you can get your local Android applications.
Right, and other places I can't speak of yet.
Okay. Soon to be deployed somewhere else, in other places. Yes. Well, we'll look forward to following this. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. It's been great. Thanks, Arik.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Untether.tv. For those of you who are still watching and listening, thank you so much for staying around, and I hope you found some value in this. If you did, leave a comment. If you didn't, leave a comment. Really appreciate hearing from you guys. Thank you all. Thanks.